How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I'm Shadow Stitch, and today I'm starting a new journey playing through every Pokemon region while using hardcore Nuzlocke rules. I've played and completed every game in the series since the beginning as a little 90s kid, but I have never actually done a challenge run for most of the vanilla series. So I'm fixing that today, starting with the Kanto region and Fire Red. Most people are pretty familiar with the rules for a hardcore Nuzlocke, but if not, feel free to pause now or check the description. As we're planning to play through multiple games, we will be adding a few extra rules along the way, but the most important one is the duplicate clause extends throughout the entire series. That means if I catch a Pidgey here, I cannot use another one in any other game I play, so I may have to plan very far ahead on encounters to not hurt my chances in a future run. For Fire Red specifically, we're going to be doing our best to inject a little bit of difficulty. It's no real secret that this game is the Weenie Hut Jr. of Nuzlocking vanilla games, so if you're wanting to try for the first time, this is a good place to start. However, for this run, I will be tweaking one of the standard rules. Normally, we would take the highest level of the next gym leader to be our level cap. Instead, we're going to take the average level of their team and use that. So for example, Lieutenant Surge's cap would normally be 24 because of his Raichu, but the levels of his team average up to 21. Whether this is enough to provide any kind of challenge to the run remains to be seen, but at least it might make things a little more interesting. Enough rambling though, let's finally get going and take our first steps on this long journey. After waking up in this new world, we raid the PC for all the money and candy our Uncle Jim Temdo left us before heading over to the lab and picking our starter Bulbasaur. This little guy was also my first Pokemon ever, so it wasn't really any contest on who we're taking here. Bulbagang, rise up. After beating down our rival Knight and delivering Oak's mail, we can finally get started on catching our first teammates. A Pidgey on Route 1 and Rattata on 2 start us off well before we run into a Mankey on Route 22. Which I choose to skip to save for a future run. Fighting types aren't the highest value in this region, and if I really feel I need one, there's a guaranteed Hitmonlee later in the game. After beating up Knight again with the power of our new friends, we pick up a Weedle in Viridian Forest and immediately evolve him into Beedrill. To nobody's surprise, Bulbasaur wipes the floor with Brock's Rocks in 2 Vine Whips. I didn't even bother leveling up to the cap, and we can move on. After that, we find a Spearow on Route 3 for a solid backup flying type and grab the Persim Berry next to the Pokemon Center before entering Mount Moon. Here we want to rappel through the first half of the cave so we can get a slightly higher chance of encountering Geodude over Zubat, since I really want to save it for the future. After we pick up the Helix fossil, may he be praised, we do luck out on the 30% chance and add the rock solid ground type to our team. And he even has an adamant nature, pretty sweet. Just outside, we teach our new dude how to punch and jump into the grass to find an Ekans. Unfortunately, this one does not have Intimidate, so we're just going to skip it for now since we have a few more chances on future routes. We've been breezing through things pretty quick so far, but the rival fight here usually serves as our first real challenge, and under our new level cap rules, it throws a wrench into things. Normally, we'd be able to level up to 18, giving Pidgey a much needed evolution, but with the cap of only 17, we're just short. That doesn't stop him though, as he flaunts his illegal Pidgeotto to start the battle. Rattata pushes through a sand attack to finish it off with a few Hyper Fangs, bringing in his own rat. Beedrill comes in to fix our rodent problem with some poison, but this lets in the little menace Charmander. Despite being uninvolved, it can do some big damage to our team. But that's why we got Geodude, right? On the way in, we take a super effective Metal Claw instead of the Ember I was expecting for around a third. We have to take another one, putting us under half before rolling a disappointing Magnitude 5 that only does about half. We really needed a 7 or higher there, which is around a 65% chance. But now we are in a pretty dangerous situation. Not wanting to risk our potentially only rock type, we swap to Pidgey, which takes a Metal Claw comfortably. But then disaster strikes, as an Ember comes out and burns, meaning our Gust doesn't even come close to KOing. Away the options, Charmander is now in Blaze, so whatever I send out is going to take big damage if it goes for Ember. Spearow comes out, but takes over half, and I'm not confident in us outspeeding, or even if we can KO. With a heavy heart, I know what must be done. I send in our valiant little Pidgey, and he gets roasted alive by one final Ember. Beedrill is able to come in and take revenge with a very appropriate Fury attack before finishing the fight against the Abra, since it has no attacking moves. Our first casualty of the series is laid to rest before his prime. But our Spearow, with renewed vigor, tears through the Nugget Bridge to avenge his fallen bird comrade. We pick up the secret power TM, get Bill out of his fursuit, and find a Caterpie on Route 24 along with an Oddish on 25, just in time for Misty. With 2 grass types now, Misty is not much of a threat, so after a lot of absorbs and confusion self-hits, Oddish takes out her lead Staryu. Butterfree comes in on Starmie to slow it down with Stun Spore before swapping into Ivysaur. Some Leech Seed and a few Vine Whips later, the Starfish drops, giving us our second badge. Our next level cap is pretty close, only going up 1 level, so we need to be very careful with our EXP management. Our newly evolved Fearow enacts Bird Justice on the Thieving Rocket, getting us the Dig TM. On the way south, we grab a Meowth on Route 5, and skip Route 6 since we've already caught all the grass encounters in this area. But hey, free Citrus Berry. On Route 16, we get another chance at Ekans, but this one is also not intimidating, so we skip it. In Diglett's Tunnel, we catch, big surprise, a Diglett, and thankfully it's only level 16, so we can use it with our level cap. We board the SS Anne and avoid nearly everything here except the Brick Break TM, and some berries we pull out of the trash before meeting up with Knight again. So technically, by our level cap rules, the average here should be 18, but this is just going to be the first example of us doing our best to stick to that rule. To my knowledge, most people don't even use non-gym boss battles in their level caps anyway, so let's just treat it as some payback for killing our Pidgey. And look at that, while I was rambling, our big rat took out his first 3 members and Geodude is ready for some redemption. Magnitude 9. Good job, buddy. With 2 decently strong ground types, as you can guess, Surge isn't much trouble either. Diglett takes out his Voltorb and Pikachu with some digs, healing off a static paralysis with a Cherry Berry. Raichu comes in, and before we can go under for a dig, it hits a quick attack, leaving us with only 1 HP. Okay, little guy, cutting it close there. Let's let Geodude take care of the rest. 3 badges down, and we have a few more levels to play with now. Now with Cut, we can head to Route 9 for another chance at Ekans. And 3rd time's the charm, as we finally get an intimidating Sneck and immediately add him to the team. On Route 10, we get a speedy Voltorb before heading into Rock Tunnel. On the way, we run into a little girl with a Bulbasaur, and Raticate gets put to sleep. No big deal, we can take a few hits before finishing it off with a quick attack. 3 turns pass, and we don't wake up? Yeah, in Generation 3, sleep is not the 1 to 3 turns like it is nowadays, and I had no idea that it was an actually ridiculous 1 to 5 turns. So yeah, we have to watch as our big rat is taken down in his sleep by a final Razor Leaf. At least he went out peacefully. Outside of some EXP management, nothing else really happens in the cave, and we skip this encounter to save any for our future runs. After putting Raticate to rest, we visit the Pokemon Tower to find Knight likely doing the same thing, and he challenges us in the middle of a graveyard. Rude as hell, but okay. Fearow goes beak to beak and takes down Pidgeotto, bringing in Gyarados. We pivot into Arbok, dropping its attack with Intimidate and hitting a Glare while it thrashes. Voltorb comes in as it hits itself. Spark does big damage, but the one Thrash that breaks through only does about a third, letting us finish it off with another. Execute comes in next, and yeah, I kind of overlooked this and didn't really have much for it. However, we do have BS on our side, so Butterfree comes in and uses Flash until it's at -6 accuracy, allowing Fearow to finish it off with a few pursuits without a scratch. Kadabra is next, but it's really frail, so Fearow outspeeds and drops it with a secret power. Last but not least is Charmeleon, so Geodude has a job to do. He takes an Ember on the way in for over half, but a Citrus Berry heals us back up to full since it's a 30 HP heal in this game instead of a percentage. Thanks to a Growl, it lives the first Magnitude 7, but the weak Metal Claw isn't enough to stop us, and one last Magnitude 9 buries the lizard 6 feet under. We move on to Route 8 and find the best boy Growlithe and catch it before he can roar us away. He doesn't have Intimidate, but Flash Fire can still come in handy. Now that we're in Celadon City, our options are blown wide open thanks to the Game Corner and Department Store. We grab a Leaf Stone and evolve Vileplume, and a Fire Stone for our new Arcanine, then pick up a few TMs, teaching almost everyone Secret Power and Arcanine Flamethrower. We torch the Rocket Hideout, and even Giovanni isn't much of a problem thanks to our newly evolved Graveler handling his overleveled Kangaskhan. And yeah, Erica doesn't even get a breakdown, you already know what happened. Now with 4 gyms down, our level cap jumps way up and the region opens up a lot. Revisiting the Pokemon Tower doesn't have much to speak of, other than we are definitely avoiding catching a Ghastly here in one of its worst generations. We save Mr. Fuji, move the Snorlax in the route below so we can grab the Super Rod, then head down a little further to Route 13 and fish up a Horsey, finally giving us a Water type. Thanks to our new rod, we can also backtrack to Route 6 and fish up a Poliwhirl, which gives us access to another very powerful type we've been missing. Heading over to Cerulean City, we can trade our newly caught Poliwhirl for an old man's Jinx. Despite its stupid nickname and design, Jinx is an incredibly powerful Ice and Psychic type, both being very strong for the second half of this game. We move the Snorlax next to Celadon and bike down to Fuchsia City, giving us access to the Safari Zone. I don't really know how most people do encounters in these kinds of areas, but what I usually do is I just throw balls until I catch something, and that will be my encounter for the entire Safari Zone. Since you have no real control over the encounter outside of some weird manipulation with rocks and bait that I just can't be asked to understand, I think this is the most fair. Our first encounter was a Paris, but it ran away eventually. But in the next area we got a Nidoran, which is awesome as Nidoking is easily one of my favorite mons in the game. We grab the Gold Teeth and Surf HM before we leave, giving us some nice move upgrades. While Koga probably wouldn't be a problem now, we have to head over to Saffron and beat up all the rockets taking over the city. For some reason, Knight is also here, and he's our next big challenge. But our team has seen some massive improvements lately. Thanks to the big level jump, Venusaur, Electrode, and even Golem all achieve their final forms, and we have strong moves to match, so I feel very ready for this fight. Electrode starts off strong, shocking his Pidgeot out of the sky. Then he serves his Gyarados up to us on a silver platter. Another Thunderbolt vaporizes the Wet Snake, bringing in Execute. But we're prepared this time, as despite some paralysis hacks, Arcanine torches it with a Flamethrower. Alakazam is up next, but it's little threat as its only attacking move is Future Sight, which is much weaker in this game. We also have Jinx with Shadow Ball. Even though it's physical this gen, Alakazam is just so frail, it's an easy 2-hit KO. As Charizard comes in, Jinx takes the Future Sight, and it's not resisted? Yeah, apparently in Gen 3, Future Sight is kind of typeless, because it just does damage regardless of any typing. The more you know. Anyway, it's time for our boy Golem to go to work. But on the way in, Flamethrower burns and brings him to about half HP. We pivot to Seadra, but it's just too frail, taking over half from another Flamethrower despite the resistance. My two brain cells finally rub together, and I pivot through Arcanine since he's immune to Flamethrower with Flash Fire. However, I don't think that's enough to get out unscathed. But I see one out. Electro comes in on a weak wing attack, and even gets the static paralysis. We fire off a Thunderbolt, hoping to strike the dragon out of the sky, but it does a pitiful 50%. Charizard breaks through the paralysis, killing our round boy with the Flamethrower. Thanks to him being weakened and the speed drop, Seadra is able to come in and finish it off with a Surf, but that is one big blow, losing our fastest Mon and only Electric type. We lay our ball to rest before coming back to just embarrass Giovanni once again. Jinx and Golem tag team the crime boss, kicking him and his goons out of the building, letting us claim the Master Ball and all the other goodies in the high-rise. Afterwards, we build a new team full of our fastest and strongest physical attackers to take on Sabrina, as her and Koga shared the same level cap, so we're already here, might as well. I stumble my way through the gym, and then challenge the Psychic Master. I swear, no matter how many times I play this game, I will never remember the route to take here. Beedrill leads the charge and one-shots Kadabra with Twin Needle, as he just sets up a Future Sight, bringing in Mr. Mime. It drops to another Twin Needle, and the big boss Alakazam comes in. I can't really switch anything in, as my team is mostly just attackers with little bulk. Beedrill knows this is his fate. We click Twin Needle. But the big brain goes for Future Sight, which fails since Kadabra's is still active. The two hits fire off, and it lives with just 1 HP. It's okay though, as Sabrina heals, allowing us another chance, and Beedrill fires off another Twin Needle, rolling better damage, and even a crit on the second hit, for extra disrespect. Her final Venomoth enters, but Fearow comes in and wraps up this fight with a fly, earning us our 5th gym badge. I did not expect Beedrill to survive that fight, but I'm so proud of him. Not to be outdone, Jinx blasts through Koga's poison types with a few Psychics. Muck actually lives thanks to its good special defense and sets up a Minimize. it does get a little sketchy as we miss one and take a ton of damage from Sludge. But I have faith in our Ice Queen, and she hits on the following turn, finishing off the pile of sewage before wrapping up the fight against the remaining gas bags. Could have been played better and was a bit risky for sure, but hey, worth it for the content, right? Now that we can surf, I head over to the power plant to see if we get a chance at another electric type. We have a decent 25% chance at getting Pikachu, but we roll the 30% Magnemite, which I want to hold off for a future run where it can be more impactful. I did consider maybe getting Zapdos, but I felt it would be major overkill in a game that is already a bit of a cakewalk. I'm not necessarily opposed to using minor legendaries depending on the game, but let me know what you think. To me, they're really strong, sure, but it's not like mons like Zapdos are too much more OP than things like Tyranitar or Salamence, which are available in other games. Anyways, we surf down to Cinnabar Island, and on our way through the mansion, catch a Coughing before heading into the gym. Now, Blaine is by far one of the weakest gym leaders in the entire series, unfortunately, and our new Kingdra shows exactly why. If you don't like that I'm using trade evolutions, or like Kingdra in this case, that's technically not attainable in this game because of the stupid Pokédex restriction, then I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. It's just way more fun to be able to use mons at their max capabilities. And you know the whole thing that Fire Red did, locking evolutions like Crobat until you beat the game, is just really dumb. Oh hey, look at that, while I was rambling, Giovanni got drowned by Kingdra too. Well, that's cool, all 8 gyms down. Just 6 more fights left, but of course they're the 6 most challenging battles in the game. First off, we got Knight blocking our way to even get to the league. Jinx starts off one-shotting Pidgeot and Rhyhorn with a few Ice Beams. Charizard comes out and we pivot through Kingdra using her 4x fire resistance to get safely into Golem on a wing attack. It fires off a flamethrower which does massive damage and burns, but we're prepared with an attached Rossberry. A follow-up Rock Blast connects and snuffs out the flames. Execute is next, but Arcanine dodges a Stun Spore on the way in before roasting it with a Flamethrower, bringing in Gyarados. We use Kingdra's great defensive typing again, switching into a Mist Hydro Pump and baiting out a Twister as we swap out to our newest member, Persian. I know one Thunderbolt probably won't kill with our mediocre special attack, but our cat is here to perform and he lands a crit for a one-shot. Alakazam comes in last, and we're in the same spot, but Persian's not done yet, as we outspeed and a crit secret power finishes the fight. I did not expect Persian to work out that well, but I'm indeed impressed. Now time to prepare for the Elite Four. After running around the region picking up important items, TMs, and catching a few more mons to manipulate future encounter pools, we have our team ready for the final challenge of the run. First up, after a stellar performance in that last fight, we have Persian. His mild nature doesn't help the already frail defenses, but the boost to his special coverage moves is nice. He maxed out his happiness with lots of catnip and toys to give us a strong return. Shadow Ball is solid for coverage in some mons later on, plus Slash and Thunderbolt can be good in a pinch. Golem, despite some rocky performances, makes the final squad as our best tank with good resistances and strong moves. No longer do we have to worry about variable damage. We got the legendary Quake Slide combo with Double Edge to pair with a Rockhead ability, and Explosion for a final coup de grace if we need it. Arcanine brings the heat with a reliable Flamethrower and devastating power of Overheat. Bite gives us a little bit of coverage and a flinch chance in a pinch, and Extreme Speed for some strong priority. Of course, our starter has to make the team, with Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Sleep Powder, and Protect, to be the reliable backbone of the team. Next up, we got the Mon that stormed through the endgame. Kingdra with Surf and Hydro Pump to flood the battlefield, Ice Beam for some coverage, and Rain Dance to pair well with our Swift Swim ability. Last but not least is the traded Queen Jinx. Yes, I changed the name because it was stupid and it was annoying me being all uppercase. Psychic and Ice Beam boosted by Calm Mind is a nasty combo, and Lovely Kiss can let us set up with ease. I think we have a very strong squad and with some interesting picks, so let's get into it. Also a quick note, I like to give each member of the Elite Four their own level cap when they escalate like they do here in Fire Red. Lorelei is first up and we lead off with Persian, hitting her Dugong with a Thunderbolt for a disappointing third before it sets up Hail. On the following turn we fire off a much stronger return which easily could have 2-hit KO'd. Dugong hits us for less than half with an Ice Beam, but it also freezes. Well, time to do this the boring way, I guess. Jinx comes in on the healing turn. We put the Seal to sleep and start setting up Calm Minds. After enough boosts, Dugong, Lapras, and Cloyster all drop the Psychic. Slowbro and Jinx then get wiped out by the slightly stronger Ice Beam. Resistances be damned. Bruno is up next, and we have a strong Psychic type. Yeah, you know how this ends. Ice Beam Bolt Onix, Psychic Bolt the Hitmons and Machamp to one-shot them all. Moving on. Agatha gives Persian another chance to shine, and we're able to two-shot her lead Gengar with Shadow Ball even through the double team. Golbat comes in, and Golem gets put to work. They confuse Raze, but we break through with a Rock Slide that leaves the bat on 1 HP. As she heals, we proceed to hit ourselves in confusion and get flinched by Bite so much until we are only left with 39 HP, before finally breaking through and one-shotting this time with another Rock Slide. This allows in Arbok, which lowers our attack with Intimidate. But we're so low from the battle with Golbat, we can't risk dropping to an Iron Tail or Bite. Venusaur shoulders the burden, comes in taking a heavy hit, but landing Leech Seed on the following turn before being brought low with a Sludge Bomb. After a Protect to heal a little extra, we swap into Kingdra and wash the Sneck away with a few serves, but we're left at only half. Her second stronger Gengar comes in, so we swap to Persian, but it puts us to sleep with Hypnosis on the way in. Then proceeds to set up Nightmare, which will rack up huge damage over time. I swapped to Venusaur, but a Sludge Bomb does big damage, putting us in the red. I do have a play out of this sticky situation though. I can swap to Jinx, hoping for either a Sludge Bomb or Mist Hypnosis. Even a Shadow Ball I should be able to barely take with Gengar's subpar attack. I make the risky switch and see Shadow Ball. And it crits, punishing us hard and taking out Jinx in one shot. This is really bad. Debatably, our best Pokemon and certified Dragon Killer is now dead, and we still have to finish this fight. Thankfully, I put a Chesto Berry on Arcanine, so a combination of Flamethrower and Overheat is able to finish off the ghost due to a Hypnosis miss. All that's left is Haunter, but a switch into Persian on a Curse, and then Kingdra to drown it with one final Surf, lets us put an end to this annoying battle. Yeah, as we get ready for Lance, I am not confident with our main answer in a coffin, but we came this far, we can't give up now. As we level up, Persian gains Fake Out, so we get the free damage on his lead Gyarados before hitting a Thunderbolt, which does not KO. But he just spits on us with a weak Dragon Rage, and one more Thunderbolt finishes it off, letting in Aerodactyl. While it is possible we outspeed with our badge boost, I have the perfect answer to this with Golem. He comes in on a Hyper Beam before barely missing the KO with a Rock Slide. After a few heals, we bury the fossil again under some rocks. His first Dragonair comes in, and we swap to Venusaur for some classic Leech Seed Protect shenanigans. Lance set up a safeguard so we can't put it to sleep, but we know this is the one with Dragon Rage instead of Thunder Wave, so we can make the relatively safe switch to Kingdra. Ice Beam finishes off the weakened Dragonair, bringing in his second one. It leaves the first Ice Beam and tries to Thunder Wave us, but our Lumberry cures the status, letting us take it out with another on the following turn, bringing in the final boss, Dragonite. Even with a 4x weakness to Ice, I'm not confident we'll be able to one-shot. And as we see, I was right, so we have to take an Outrage. Come on, Kingdra, we need you to hold. And she does, with 12 HP, allowing us to put the final Dragon on ice. Thank you so much to whoever decided to make Dragon a special attacking type, and not letting Dragonite use its insane 134 attack. One more battle left. We raise everyone to the final level cap of 60, kit everyone out with whatever items we have, including some very stylish but useless black classes on Persian, and step through the final threshold. Without Jinx and Persian being necessary for later, we have to lead off with Golem. Pidgeot goes for Feather Dance to drop our attack, but Golem has no time for that nonsense and crits Rock Slide for a clean one-shot. Rhydon comes in, so Kingdra washes it away with Surf, but not without taking a heavy hit. Gyarados is up next, and it's Venusaur's time to shine, as we easily tank a Dragon Rage and Thrash, setting up a Leech Seed and putting it to sleep. To speed things up and preserve a little bit of HP, we swap to Persian. However, the stupid Serpent wakes up immediately, but just hits a weak Dragon Rage. A Fake Out to heal more HP, followed up by a Thunderbolt, finishes it off, bringing in Charizard. At long last, I finally realize I can pivot through Arcanine. making the Fire Blast useless with Flash Fire and bringing in Golem on a weak Aerial Ace. For some reason, it goes for Aerial Ace again as we slay the dragon one last time with Rock Slide. Executor comes in and Arcanine makes a nice campfire with Flamethrower, leaving just his final Alakazam. I have a few ways to go about this, but I just have to give this chance to our wildcard Persian. He comes in taking a powerful Psychic, but that's the last hit we have to take. Fake Out does huge damage, and one final Shadow Ball drops the Alakazam, winning us the championship battle in our first run of the series. This may not have been the most difficult challenge, but I did have fun using some of my favorite Kanto Pokemon, and even gave a few oddballs a chance like Persian, which was actually pretty good. After the credits roll, we put our Jinx to rest and remind ourselves that we will never be able to use any of these caught Pokemon again throughout this series. I think my biggest regret here is catching Nidoran. That Mon could have definitely been really strong in a future run, and has a decent amount of availability. For the most part though, I think I've given myself a decent amount of future encounters, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this series into the next game. Instead of doing the regions in release order, we're actually going to be going in supposed chronological order. So I'll see you next time in Pokemon Emerald. Let me know what you think about the run and this series in the comments below. But with all that said, thank you all so much for stopping by. Like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.